By now, you've probably heard hundreds of trade rumors involving the Lakers. Most of them include Kyrie Irving in some combination. But there have also been other packages that the Lakers are rumored to be pursuing as a backup. Let's discuss these possible trades and see which ones would be best for the Lakers. Now, obviously, the big prize out there is Kyrie Irving. He's a superstar talent that fits perfectly with LeBron and AD. Out of all these potential players, Kyrie would give the Lakers the highest ceiling and the best chance at getting a championship. Now, Kyrie does come with his problems, and there's a chance that if he joins the Lakers, it can be an absolute disaster. But that's why a superstar talent like him is available in the first place. He comes with a lot of baggage. To make a trade work financially, you're gonna have to include Russell Westbrook. So you'd just be trading one headache for another. It just so happens that the headache you're trading for actually makes sense on the court and would be a much better fit basketball-wise. Now, getting Kyrie Irving doesn't guarantee the Lakers a championship, but keeping Russell Westbrook guarantees that they won't win a championship. We've already seen how Westbrook fits with LeBron and AD. He doesn't. It doesn't work. Last season was one of the worst in Lakers history. And although I do believe this season will be better, even with Westbrook still on the team, it's clear that that trio of LeBron, AD, and Westbrook is not a championship formula. However, Kyrie Irving's skill set is perfect for LeBron and AD. He's able to shoot, so he can play off the ball. He can handle the ball, probably one of the best ever to do it, so he can initiate the offense. He creates more so for himself, so he's not going to try and force stupid passes just to get his assist numbers up. He's one of the best finishers we've ever seen, especially from a guy his size. So I don't think he's going to be missing layups like Westbrook. On the court, it just makes sense. LeBron won a championship with Kyrie. LeBron won a championship with Anthony Davis. Now imagine LeBron with both Kyrie and Anthony Davis. It just makes sense. So the best trade for the Lakers would have to include Kyrie Irving. But what about the other pieces included in the trade? Westbrook's contract for next year is insanely expensive. It's $47 million. So you'd have to take on more salary in addition to Kyrie's to make the money work. The most straightforward trade would be to just deal solely with the Nets and take on either Seth Curry or Joe Harris. Honestly, I wouldn't mind either one. Both are excellent shooters, and the Lakers are desperate for shooting. But the Lakers probably prefer Seth Curry because he's on an expiring contract. And the Lakers want to keep their cap space next offseason. But if you're just thinking about who would be better on the court, I'd have to give the slight edge to Joe Harris, simply because he has more size. The Lakers had a problem last season with being too small, so having more size is crucial. But he is dealing with ankle issues, and we aren't really certain how that will affect him next season. Both of these players aren't very good defenders, but Seth Curry is only about 6'2", so he'll probably get picked on more on defense. None of these players are perfect, but the Lakers could still use either one of them. Now, according to reports, the Lakers' dream scenario would be a trade for Kyrie and Buddy Hield or Eric Gordon. This would require the Lakers to deal with the Pacers and or Rockets, and would most likely cost them a first-round draft pick. Which explains why the Lakers are reluctant to give Brooklyn both their tradable first-rounders in a Kyrie deal. They need at least one to trade for an additional player. So again, you would be trading for these guys because of their shooting. So either one would work if all you care about is shooting. But both of these players are undersized guards who aren't that good on defense. I never understood the obsession with Buddy Hield. I think he's extremely overrated, at least in the Laker world. I feel like the rest of the NBA properly rates him. But for some reason, Laker Nation thinks he's some sort of savior. I didn't think he was worth Montrezl Harrell and Kyle Kuzma. I don't think he's even worth THT. He'll be a better fit for sure because of his shooting, which is why that trade would make sense, but that's pretty much all he does. Maybe because of last season, I'm just sick of undersized guards that can't defend. But the Lakers treat this guy like some prized possession. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind having him, because again, we need shooting. But Buddy Hield doesn't turn this team into a contender. Now another option would involve the Spurs, who are currently in rebuild mode. The Nets aren't all that interested in Westbrook, and the Spurs would reportedly be willing to take on Westbrook's contract for draft compensation and unloading some of their own contracts. So this would include Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott. Now the Lakers would likely just take one of them. I think technically it is possible for them to get both depending on who they send out along with Westbrook, but most likely it'll just be one. Again, both these players would be good on the Lakers because of their shooting, but both of these players actually have decent size. However, Josh Richardson would be the best for the Lakers because he provides a little bit more on defense and is more athletic. He's also on an expiring contract, while Doug McDermott has another year left on his contract after this one. And it seems like the Lakers are doing everything they can to preserve that cap space next offseason. So I believe a 3-team trade involving the Nets and Spurs that ultimately lands the Lakers Kyrie and Josh Richardson would be the best trade for the Lakers in terms of their championship aspirations next season, as well as their future flexibility beyond this season. Now, the Lakers' backup plan if they can't get Kyrie is to trade for some combination of Eric Gordon, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and even perhaps Patrick Beverley. The trade that has gained the most traction has been the one involving Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. The Lakers and Pacers have been reportedly seriously engaged in trade talks. Now, this is not a bad backup plan at all. It's definitely the safer option. It doesn't raise your ceiling as much as a Kyrie Irving trade would, but it also has less of a chance of blowing up in your face. The fit is pretty perfect. You have Miles Turner who can shoot the three and protect the rim. Perfect to play alongside Anthony Davis. And if you get Buddy Hield as well, then you could have the spacing for LeBron to operate. That would be a very solid starting five. Now, does this trade make sense past this season? I'm not sure. Turner is looking to get paid, probably somewhere close to max money. I don't think he's worth that, especially when you have Anthony Davis. Sure, you'd like to have a player like Miles Turner alongside AD to play center a lot of the time, even most of the time. But when it's crunch time, when it really matters, you're gonna want to have your best lineup out there, and that means AD at the 5. Do you really want to pay max dollars to a guy that's likely on the bench at the end of games? Probably not. He's an expiring contract, and maybe the Lakers just let him walk after this season. But Buddy Hield's contract, on the other hand, extends beyond next offseason. And again, the Lakers have been very strategic in keeping that cap space for the 2023 offseason. There are certain players you would deviate your plans for if you get a chance to acquire that player. But Buddy Hield isn't one of them. But the Lakers seem so enamored with him maybe they do give up that cap space to get him. But a starting lineup of LeBron, Anthony Davis, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and someone at the point, maybe Kendrick Nunn, that's a pretty solid starting five. I don't know if this team would be the favorites, but they definitely have a chance competing against anybody. So those are all the trade scenarios that have been rumored so far. Again, I believe the Lakers getting Kyrie Irving and Josh Richardson would be the best case for the Lakers. But who knows what's going to happen? There are so many moving parts. The Nets are waiting to deal KD first before making a Kyrie move. And they're in no rush since KD's still under contract for 4 years? So who knows how long it'll take. And now guys are on vacation, not really discussing trades, and teams are trying to gain leverage. They're waiting each other out to see if anyone budges. So it may be a few weeks, even a few months, before anything actually happens. We just have to wait and see.